What's up? How are you guys doing? Hope you're all well. I am responding to some requests I got to make a video talking about the quirks that you want to invest your gold in to lock onto your character, which is a new feature, as I'm sure all of you know, in the Corpse and the Hound update that just went live last week. So to start, first of all, I'm going to get really basic. So how do you do this and lock these quirks? So currently, what you have to do is go to your sanitarium. You have to drop one of your people in here. And what will come up, actually he's already got his locked, so well, you click on one of them and what will come up is the price that it costs to lock in a quirk that is positive, or you can still do also, you can remove one on the same turn, which is an awesome thing that they did for us. So that can save you some time. So you can lock a positive one and get rid of a negative one. You can lock up to 3 currently. Again, all this is probably subject to some tweaking and changing and hotfixes and stuff. But currently, that's how you lock in quirks. So what you guys had asked is, what do I invest my money in? Because it's really expensive and it's kind of a gold sink now. You know, 3,000 or 4,000 gold, especially at week 15 to 30, is a lot. So it better be worth it. So what I did is I kind of on the left side of the screen there, you guys will see the a breakdown of what I feel are some of the best, and that list isn't all encompassing. I'll be adding some annotations as I get some different feedback and test some things over the next week or two of any quirks that I want to add. And this is off of an older list that I compiled early last week, so since there's been some hot fixes, we may change them, and that's fine. And this is going to be a video series because it's going to take me far too long to talk about each individual class and what quirks you want to lock and why. But what I'm going to go through here is an explanation of what I feel are some of the best, give you guys some examples, and we're going to break it down to healers, melee, tanking, and utility classes. So I'll be breaking them down, not necessarily individually by class, but I'll be breaking them down to kind of help you all hopefully pick and choose and use your gold selectively for some of the classes. So here's how we'll start. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about each of what you see here on the left. So deadly, 1% crit, eagle eye, 3% crit, ranged, evasive, 5 to dodge, faded, chance to turn any miss into a hit. That is really, I'm on the fence about that one because it's really hard to measure right now. Hard skinned, currently, you can see he actually has it. It's 10% to prot. Natural eye and natural swing, which are accuracy bonuses to ranged and melee +5 respectively. Precise striker, which is +3 crit melee skills. Quick reflexes +2 to speed. Slugger +10% to melee damage. Then you have steady and tough. Steady is a 10% stress resist quirk. You have tough, which is 10% HP. Unerring, which is 10% additional range damage. And then unyielding, which is death blow resist, which I feel will be much more valuable when Darkest Dungeon is released, because there's a lot of times you have to do something called managing Death's Door. I won't get into that. I'm actually going to make a video about it later on. But you're going to be on Death's Door, I'm sure, in Darkest Dungeon, and sometimes you have to buff and manage to that process. But buff your death blow resist. But I digress. Getting back on topic. Here's what we're going to look at today. So we're going to talk about the importance of crit, and I'll do a separate video on this, but I would typically tell you guys, if you're lower on gold, you're going to prioritize crit in most situations for most of your damage classes. So why? Why would you do that when you can just get 10% straight damage? So they've made some tweaks to crit, and this is a quote right from the patch notes. The new crit damage multiplier is 1.5 instead of 2.0, so it did get nerfed. The crits, however, still do guarantee max damage plus multiplying by 1.5. So that's currently how crit works. So it is pretty valuable, as they do say in the video. Also dots crit now. Now, crits are valuable because they give you stress relief, which also has been a little reduced, but it's still important. and you're still going to get the damage multiplier. The stress relief is really what I feel is very helpful to you all, because that will save you some gold long term. The more you crit, the less you're stressed, the less you have to pay somebody to go in and heal their stress inside of the town. So another question that came up a lot is, wouldn't I just take tough, or like for example on a Vestal, wouldn't I take tough instead of dodge? Or would I rather take dodge because I'm going to reduce that, or I'm going to completely avoid the damage rather than reducing it like with hard skin, which would give you more prot? So here's the rule of thumb that I'll give you. You're definitely going to want to throw dodge like on a Jester. If you look at his base at level 1, his dodge is 20, so he gets 15 plus 5 for a quirk. That makes him really, really valuable from not taking a lot of damage. He can eat up an enemy turn where they do absolutely nothing because his dodge is so high. So we tell you to strongly consider taking dodge on a Jester, and then also on the Retribution Man-at-Arms currently. Now, he may be tweaked. I don't have one here. I don't have evasive. But if we're going to take evasive, he can actually dodge the damage that he's requesting one of the mobs to hit him for, and then in turn deal more damage. So I feel that's something to consider as well. We're also going to consider dodge rather than prot is going to be on a highwayman, a grave robber, or an occultist. And just to show you briefly, like this occultist, he has, you're going to get 10 at a very low level. You're going to get 10 as an armor base, and then you're going to have plus 5. So 15 is pretty solid on the low level dungeons. If we look at a highwayman, he starts with 10. So a couple things to consider with your highwayman and your grave robber and your occultist, who all start with 10 dodge. It's probably worth it to use evasive, at least in my opinion, but that's the decision up to you guys. Would you rather dodge it completely or attempt to mitigate it? Because there are some mobs, the higher the accuracy they have, the less effective dodge is. So it also depends on the mobs you're fighting. But I'll do a whole video on that to explain it later on. But you probably don't want to do dodge on the bounty hunter, the arbalist, or the Vestal, and the reason is their base dodge is so low that you probably just want to focus. Like, she is clumsy, but it starts at 5 with the arbalist here, and then you look at your, in most situations, if you look at your Vestal, they're going to be really low too, 0 or 5 even with evasive. So I would say avoid it and instead use tough and hard skinned, or just hard skinned, for those particular classes. So again, Vestal, Arbalist, Bounty Hunter, anything at level 1 that has a base of 5 or less, I would say do not save evasive. So I get a lot of questions about how effective hard skinned is and how much of an increase is it. I would tell you that I'm going to do a whole video on prot and explaining prot, but I really want to show some demonstrations in it and do some math for you guys, so it's going to take a little longer. This has been the most requested video, so I'm going to start with that. So to give you an example of just starting with, let's say, the Retribution build Man-at-Arms, what it would give you guys to try would be evasive, hard-skinned, and precision striker. But as you can tell on the one that I have up top here, he has hard-skin, precise striker, and slugger. Those are 3 that are pretty solid too. But I feel with Retribution, if you can stack dodge, maybe put a feather crystal on him as you acquire those, I think that he would become, I think he would almost be OP. I mean, even right now, he's almost OP, if not already. But as you have more dodge to be able to stack, and he's asking for things to attack him, he's going to be able to dodge then and still in turn do damage. So I feel that's a great combo. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but that's just a quick example of, kind of what you're looking at as far as what I would recommend. Keep in mind, don't be so gung-ho to grab Slugger, because you may be stacking 10% damage on a really low attack base, and you're not going to get the value out of it. Like, if maybe the base damage is 10, that makes it 11. Is it worth it? So break down the math of their base damage before you're stacking Slugger. But to quickly kind of run through Again, what I would tell you to do on most of your characters you're going to use that are not utility based, you're going to be stacking crit before you'll stack general damage just because of the stress relief. And as you look at some of the armor base that they already have with their dodge, you can consider if you want to stack evasive. But I think crit and evasive are some of the strongest that are there. And like I told you guys, I'll be doing another video where I'm going to break down healers. I'll break down some melee characters for you. I may even go individually by class. We'll see what the feedback that we get is. But those are what I feel are the ones that are worth investing some of your gold in. Again, be selective. And don't stack them all. Don't try and save them all in your lower level towns because you're not going to have enough gold for it. So hopefully that was helpful to you. Again, I'll be making some annotations as I run through some testing. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll be coming out with the next videos over the next few days that'll get a little more in detail on who takes what. Thanks, guys. See ya.